just realized the live stream didn't even start till just now. I apologize, guys. Welcome to the stream. I hit go live, and I've literally been talking for like 5 minutes, and the stream hadn't even started. So, glad I went back to the screen. I apologize for that. If you're just tuning in, because I just started the stream, I went through the whole starting lineup already. They will be going green this time by, so I don't have enough chance to give you guys a starting lineup again. I don't know how that happened. Yeah, I hit go live. It never actually started the stream, and here we are. The raw feed is not really working on NASCAR's website as of right now. You can see the starting lineup at the very front of the... or on the screen, I should say, on the left side as of right now. Got a couple more corners of pace lap here before we go green. 42 laps scheduled distance. Stage 1, 12 laps. 14 laps in Stage 2, 16 in the final stage. And no stage cautions for all of this weekend's events. That is a new rule change as of this last offseason for NASCAR in all three series. The truck and the Xfinity Series standalone road course races, they will not have they will have caution breaks during these stages, but not today specifically. As well as the Sonoma race, I know for a fact, for the Truck Series this season, and then also the Watkins Glen Indy road course races for the Xfinity Series will not have stage breaks as well. Anytime the Truck or the Xfinity Series is racing on the same race weekend that the Cup Series is at that specific track. A lot of drivers dropping to the rear of the field for unapproved adjustments today. Parker Kligerman, Matt Craftsman, Daniel Dye, Brett Holmes, Colin Garrett, Matt DiBenedetto, Taylor Gray, Spencer Boyd, Caden Honeycutt, Chase Purdy, and Chris Wright, all dropping to the rear of the field. A lot of those drivers started towards the back anyway, so it doesn't really hurt their starting spot too much. Track position, though, matters on road courses, maybe more so than other racetracks on the circuit in all three series, but I'd say even more so this weekend with no stage cautions to try to help catch up throughout the course of the race. This race could go caution-free, you never know. And being on the front row where Ross Chastain and Kyle Busch are to start is going to be the best spot, obviously. It's how important qualifying was yesterday for the Xfinity and the Truck Series, and then the Cup Series qualified earlier this morning as well. So Chastain, Kyle Busch on the front row for this one. Ty Majeski and Nick Sanchez will be in row 2. Christian Eckes, Carson Hocevar, row 3. Zane Smith, Grant Enfinger, row 4. And then Tanner Gray, Kaz Grala will be your starting 10 back in row number 5. I mentioned in the pre-race, look out for Kaz Grala starting in the top 10. Very accomplished road course racer in NASCAR. Accomplished in the sense he seems to have really good runs. Had a top 10 in the Cup race at the Daytona road course a couple years ago, notably when Austin Dillon was out for COVID. And I think he can be a front runner today. He's one of the highest qualifying Toyotas in the field. Kyle Busch won the, I think he won the Xfinity Series race last year, if I remember correct. Or no, 2 years ago, 2021, he won the Xfinity race at COTA. Trying to win this Truck Series race, though, today. Just his second truck start of the season out of 5. Same goes for Ross Chastain in the 41 for Nice Motorsports, who is the pole sitter. And he'll be the control truck on the start. If we do have any cautions today, another rule change is that the Choose Code will come into play for the first time ever on a road course in NASCAR. Crazy restarts here with the uphill climb towards turn 1, and we're about to see it on the initial start as the field enters the Geico restart zone. Ross Chastain will lead the field to the green, and we are underway at Circuit of the Americas for our first of 3 races this weekend and the first of 2 races this afternoon. Chastain with a pretty good launch off the start, easily clearing Kyle Busch in the 51. They're fanning 2, 3, and nearly 4 wide further back in the pack as they enter that first turn. A hard 90-degree angle uphill to the left. Everybody trying to funnel now back into position before they get into the S's. Still 2 and 3 wide in the middle of the pack. Now more so side by side most of the way through the field. Very front 5 or 6 trucks are single file as Chastain continues to lead over Kyle Busch. Not as much side-by-side racing into the S's, but there is quite a bit. There is a tire rub, it appears, or at least a truck blowing up. That number 20 trying to get out of the way right now, and he will get out of the way. Brett Holmes in the 20. Little Caesars race truck having some issues mechanically. A lot of white puffy smoke coming out of the back of that race truck. If he stalls out, we're going to get an opening lap caution, but tried to pull out of the way. There was some excess pavement for him to use as everybody else was able to get by. He was running towards the back of the field, actually dropped to the rear for the start of this race, so he didn't have many trucks that had to miss him. One truck off the exit of turn 10 ended up clipping the grass, lost a couple spots. Meanwhile, battle for position inside the top 10 with Grant Enfinger and Kaz Gralla as they are side by side. And I will keep refreshing the page and figuring out what I need to try to get the raw feed up for you guys. We've been having issues with this for the last couple weeks in the Cup Series races with our live commentary streams on the channel, but unfortunately it's not working very properly for this Truck Series race either. Maybe a broken track bar. So Michael Waltrip and Kevin Harvick are trying to diagnose on the 20 truck, and Brett Holmes is trying to lip it back to pit road as his truck did not look like it was running properly. I don't think it was an engine issue, so he should be able to get back to pit road. It's a long way around this racetrack, over 3.5 miles worth of track. A lot of trucks slipping and sliding right now. Really have to manage your tires well, knowing that there isn't any stage breaks. We don't know when everybody will hit pit road. And that will be, of course, the talking point all throughout the course of this weekend's races. Chastain will lead the opening lap of the race. He's got about a 4-truck length lead over Kyle Busch, back into turn 1 into that left-hander again. Christian Eckes in the 19 truck is in 3rd place, again behind Busch in 2nd. 4th place is Ty Majeski and Zane Smith in 5th. That rounds out your top 5 right now on lap 2 of 42 in today's race. Dale Campbell, Wade Selinsky, Brett Whitesides, Pete Creamer, Uncle Car Guy, Villanor, Dark Crypto, Patrick Shadley, Jim Troyer, Tina Martin, and Regine Huddleston all welcome into the stream. And Holmes is sitting on the racetrack. They're going to have to throw a caution for him. Left rear tire has come apart on that race car, and the caution flag is out. So caution is out for the first time today. Lap 2 did not take very long. I would imagine we're probably not going to see anybody pit now, but Brett Holmes has stalled out. Now, they did have a full practice session yesterday of about 50 minutes, as well as qualifying followed by that yesterday afternoon for the Truck Series. So tough break to have that issue with Brett Holmes. Again, they made some unapproved adjustments earlier, dropping to the rear of the field. Whatever the case was there, they had a flat tire and looked like something was broken on that race car as well, with all the smoke coming out of it, because it looked like more than a tire rub on that opening lap when he was trying to get out of the way. So again, Chastain leads in the early going of this race as Fox heads to a commercial break. I'll try to find out if NBC's got a leaderboard. I know they had a leaderboard for the Cup Series races. They don't cover the Truck Series, so I don't know if they're going to have anything. And I can't show Fox's because they literally have some of the race on their website. It's a little delayed, even compared to mine, but NBC Sports. NASCAR. It's got qualifying on there. Schedule. I like how it still shows Camping World on the on NBC's website. It still shows Camping World Truck Series in race results. Okay, so they do have something for the Truck Series, even though it says Camping World and it's Craftsman now. My gosh, got ads all over the place. So there are your current race running order after one lap. The XPEL 225. And again, I will continue to try to work on that NASCAR website, refreshing the page, doing what I can to get that leaderboard to you guys. Our normal leaderboard, of course. Terry Lewis, welcome into the stream also. 12, 14, 16 are the stage. Yep, that would be the stage breaks. There are stages, but there's no cautions for the stages this weekend. So we'll make that, clear. I think that for whatever reason was confusing to a lot of people. There are still stage points awarded throughout this weekend's races, but no stage cautions. And again, we'll see how that will work itself out. But a caution on lap 2 right now for Brett Holmes. Stalling out on the racetrack, had something break on the opening lap. A lot of smoke, then his left rear tire blew out. middle of the racetrack. Couldn't get back to pit road with this being just over a 3.5-mile track. Ross Chastain led the opening lap and is obviously currently the leader under the caution as well. I put out a community tab post earlier today for the reasoning of not going to COTA this weekend. So you can check there for more details. I was planning on doing live commentary for the truck and the Xfinity race regardless this weekend, so this is no surprise that I'm doing this right now, at least. But I will be doing live commentary for the Cup Series race tomorrow as well, so be sure to tune in. Hot Wheels Vet 95, thanks for tuning in. Why isn't Bowman Racing? Thought he was. I don't know. Honestly, I have zero clue. I don't know if he failed to qualify or something yesterday. What happened? I thought he was supposed to be racing earlier, too. I didn't see during the week news-wise if maybe something happened there. It actually looked like both the left rear and the right rear tires were flat on the Brett Holmes 20 truck as well, so no wonder he couldn't make it all the way back around. He had both rear tires flat. Really started to tear apart some of the sheet metal there, and he ended up just kind of being beached off of turn 10, it appeared. Now, they have gotten that truck off the racetrack. They are in the choose cone right now. So they will be going green this time by. Very quick caution, no major cleanup. Trying to get that 20-car truck off the racetrack. So Chastain and Busch will be on the front row once again. Christian Eckes, Ty Majeski again in row 2. And then Zane Smith, Carson Hocevar in row 3. Nick Sanchez, Kaz Grala, row 4. Taylor Gray, Tyler Ankrum in row 5. Tanner Gray and Tyler Ankrum. I had the wrong Gray, brother. Jeff Sperry, welcome into the stream. Got about 50 people watching right now. Appreciate everybody tuning in. But again, thanks for everybody watching. So we're going to have 9 laps to go in stage 1 when they go green this time by. Weather Expert Gaming, welcome into the stream also. I think they have 2 more turns heading into 19 right now, I believe, and then 20, and then they will be going green. Pace truck onto pit road right now. Leaders heading into turn 20. The Geico restart zone on the other side. Another rule change during the week that they have moved that Geico restart zone back to its regular size length. They expanded it for the first 5 races this season. There were a couple issues throughout the course of the year, so NASCAR decided to move it back to the way it normally was. It is no longer larger than what it was coming into the season, so that is worth noting. Green flag back in the air. A couple trucks spinning their tires outside the top 20. I don't think anybody ran into the back of one another. Ross Chastain did not take off very well at the front of the field. Christian Eckes does. Gets to the inside of Chastain. Busch goes wide, almost out into the grass. The one of Kaz Grala may have clipped the grass himself. Busch back in 3rd. Zane Smith up to 4th. It's side by side for the lead between Christian Eckes and Ross Chastain. And now Chastain going to be patient. He's going to hop in line into the S's to not run side by side there. And now Christian Eckes leads for the first time today, but won't be official unless he leads a lap, and Chastain's still hounding him from behind. Ross Chastain seemed to have clipped the grass. I wonder if he cut the corner there. One of the final turns into the S's. Longer straightaway heading towards turn 10, and then onto the longest straightaway of the racetrack. Chastain not going to be able to clear Christian Eckes. They'll still be side by side. He was able to make a move to the bottom. Kyle Busch got passed by Zane Smith, and now Carson Hocevar is side by side with Busch for 4th. Drag race as they head for turn 11. Chastain on the inside for the race lead, and Christian Eckes on the outside, who will be able to outbreak one another. Eckes is going to let the 41 go, try to cross him back over by undercutting the bottom, but Chastain beats him back through the gears and to the throttle, and Chastain continues to lead. Chastain won the Cup Series race at COTA last season, his first career Cup win, so him leading and qualifying on the pole this weekend for the Truck Series might not be a surprise. Kyle Busch was able to play a little bit of defense on Hocevar through the last couple corners to hang on to 4th place, didn't lose any more positions. Side by side now inside the top 10 is Kaz Grala, really on the move, up another spot as he gets by Corey Heim for 8th. Keep forgetting I have to refresh the leaderboard on this. That is not accurate, by the way. Kyle Busch is not leading. I think it's based off of where they hit the start-finish line every single lap. Single file throughout pretty much the top 10 right now. And even really a little deeper than that throughout the field. In Stage 1, your top 10 with about 8 laps to go in the stage. Ross Chastain is your race leader. Christian Eckes is in 2nd. Zane Smith 3rd. Kyle Busch 4th. Carson Hocevar is 5th. Ty Majeski at 6th. Kaz Grala 7th. Nick Sanchez 8th. Corey Heim 9th. And Tyler Ankrum currently rounds out the top 10. Hanover raised, welcome into the stream. Ross will take it today. That's your guys' predictions. A 1-second lead for Chastain over Eckes, it appears. And Zane Smith and Kyle Busch are now all over the back of Christian Eckes in that 19 truck, trying to get around him before Chastain pulls too far away. 3 wide further back into turn 10 between the 45, 88, and 22 truck. Haley Deegan stuck behind him with nowhere to go. Quite a bit of damage on the right front fender of Deegan's race truck as well. And a little bit of damage to the left rear corner panel. Now, there were some trucks that did not get going on the restart. I wonder if she might have gotten sandwiched somewhere in there. Whether it was her that spun the tires or somebody else in front of her, that could have happened. I didn't think anybody made contact back there. I didn't see any smoke, but it appears that that was likely the case. Zane Smith couldn't get by Christian Eckes in time. Contact through the carousel right now between Kyle Busch and Zane Smith as they battle for 3rd. It was the right rear corner panel of Smith's truck that got tagged by the 51's left front of Kyle Busch. Kyle Busch lost a little bit of ground. Zane Smith still able to keep close to the back bumper of Eckes even with the contact. Busch probably got the worst end of it there. Eckes still holding on to 2nd. Was about a second slower than Ross Chastain though that last lap. Chastain out to a 1.5 second lead now. 7 laps to go, stage 1. But still long ways to go in this race. These are long laps at Circuit of the Americas. Carolina Beast, thanks for tuning in. Carolina Beast, sorry. Canes fan I see in your profile pic. Dale Oplinger also welcome into the stream. Gonna take Kyle Busch today as his pick. The qualified 2nd got passed on the restart for that last restart specifically by both Zane Smith and Christian Eckes. Smith is now on the inside of Eckes for 2nd. I've seen a lot of trucks get to the inside of one another in turn 10, but not a lot able to actually complete the pass there. And unfortunately for Zane Smith, as he dove underneath of Eckes, He couldn't even stay alongside of him there. Had a good run in the draft behind him, though, and now he's going to try to outbrake him. Maybe get a downshift a little bit early. Has the grip, stays underneath Eckes this time off of turn 11. He'll be on the outside into 12. And if he can't get around him soon, Kyle Busch may get around Zane Smith. They'll get side by side again as Smith was not able to get by Eckes. Second time he pulled alongside of him, couldn't pass him. And now it's the second time that Kyle Busch and Smith are side by side for third. No contact this time in the same corner they made contact the lap before, and Busch will hop back in line behind Smith. That was right around turns 13 and 14. Through the carousel they go. Heading for turn 19. Final two left-handers before they get back to the main straightaway and on the start-finish line. Zane Smith trying to arc that corner off a little bit wider in turn 20. That'll maybe allow him to get a better corner exit. Kyle Busch and Carson Hocevar behind him went a little bit too far wide off the exit of turn 20. 0.3 of a second quicker was Chastain than Eckes that last lap. Kyle Busch dives into turn 1. Easily gets by Zane Smith for third. No challenge there. Maybe caught Smith sleeping, and now Kyle Busch, after having a better run off turn 20 than what it appeared that he had, probably had a nice run in the draft behind Zane Smith. Beat him through the gears, of course, getting up to speed quicker. Whatever the case, Kyle Busch able to make the pass. Side-by-side commercial break, so we'll keep our coverage going. Again, a 1.9 second lead for Ross Chastain as of right now, as we have about 7 laps to go yet in stage number 1. 6 to go, sorry, in stage 1. Full field running order right now. Ross Chastain leads. Christian Eckes in second. Zane Smith is third. Kyle Busch in fourth. Carson Hocevar in fifth. Ty Majeski sixth. Nick Sanchez seventh. Kaz Grala eighth. Corey Heim ninth. And Tyler Ankrum is 10th. 11th is Ben Rhodes. Tanner Gray in 12th. Grant Enfinger in 13th. Matt DiBenedetto 14th. Lawless Allen 15th. Logan Bearden in 16th. Matt Craft in 17th. Parker Kligerman 18th. Stuart Friesen 19th. Colby Howard is 20th. Caden Honeycutt 21st. 22nd is Chris Wright. Chase Purdy 23rd. Taylor Gray 24th. Colin Garrett 25th. Timmy Hill 26th. Jake Garcia 27th. Daniel Dye 28th. Mason Filippi 29th. And Brett Holmes out of the race. Or I should say out of the race. He isn't 30th, but he had 2 flat rear tires at the start. Haley Deegan at 31st. She just hit pit road, so short pitting on that 13 team. Spencer Boyd in 32nd. Raja Karut 33rd. Dale Quarterly 34th. Dean Thompson 35th. And Ed Jones rounds out the 36 truck field right now. A lot of damage on the back of Stuart Friesen's race truck. I wonder if that may be from the 13 of Haley Deegan, who had the damage on the right front of her race truck. Again, there was a stack up on the restart. Deegan is out of the pits right now, so she'll remain on the lead lap. Maybe trying to change tires, buff out that right front fender if she maybe had a tire rub. And she'll try to take advantage on about 6 or 7 lap fresher tires. 5 laps to go now in the stage for Ross Chastain. Kyle Busch still unable to get by Eckes, who remains in second. Busch able to outbrake all the cars around him, or trucks I should say, around him in turn 1 as he pulled away from Smith a little bit more. Same corner he passed Zane Smith the lap before, and closes that gap even tighter on Christian Eckes into the S's. Eckes won last week at Atlanta in the Truck Series. One of 2 drivers locked into the Truck Series playoffs, him and Zane Smith. And then Kyle Busch won at Vegas as a Cup regular. So that 51 truck, as far as the owner points, is in the playoffs there. Kyle Busch still has 3 more races in the Truck Series this season after today's race. He will not be running the Xfinity race later today. Still has a couple more starts there. AJ Allmendinger will be in the 10, and I believe he is on the pole for today's race. Carson Hocevar goes around. Another truck is spun further back in the pack. Hocevar is now in the gravel pit. It looks like he is down in turn 10. He is trying to get going. And he is stuck. The rear tires are spinning as he is trying to get back into the throttle. Carson Hocevar's truck is beached out in turn 10 after spinning. The 02 who spun further back is able to get going again. That's Chris Wright. Caution flag is out for Hocevar. No damage on the 42. Looked like he just kind of wheel hopped it going into turn 10. Around he went And once he got into the gravel trap, truck had stalled out as he wasn't able to keep on the throttle, and tough break there for Hocevar. He was running in 5th place when he had spun too, so he is going to go way backwards. And now the decision to pit or not to pit is going to be very interesting now that we've had about 7 laps on these tires. Lap 8 is the timing of the caution. 4 laps to go at stage 1.
Wow, he's got all kinds of problems. Power steering fluid, brake pedal to the floor,
gravel in his tires.
Stuck in the gravel. This is a bad sequence right there.
Meanwhile, pit road, all the pit crews getting ready, getting warmed up. You guys said the window opened at about lap 6, so here we are, lap 8.
And this is a perfect scenario for us to have fun. Some guys are going to say, I got to win the stage. Some guys are going to say, I want some track position. Lap 8 will allow the trucks to get all the way to the finish on another tank of gas. Let's see if we can see what happens here to Carson.
It's actually contact with Chris Wright that spun him around off the front bumper of the 17 of Tanner Gray.
Chase Purdy goes by in the Bama Buggies truck. And then this is what happened to Carson. You can tell just no brakes there.
Yeah, he's just struggling with the brake pedal. When it goes to the floor, you just have so much that
he tried to keep it going. I didn't know he didn't have any brakes.
Makes sense now, right?
You couldn't stop, or he would have tried to keep it rolling, but it didn't happen.
Oh, the worst spot.
Good thing about this place is it takes so long to get around under caution. They get him pulled out here.
They'll get him back to pit road. You heard it. He's going to need some help. Fix the damage. See if he can continue on. Pit stops on the other side of this break. Stay with us. You're watching the Craftsman Truck Series.
Harry Palm, thanks for tuning in. Riley1645, welcome to the stream as well. David Niehoff, see you in the chat. 84 people currently watching. Hit the like button if you haven't done so already. Subscribe for more daily NASCAR content. We'll have a few laps to go at stage 1 once they pull Hocevar's truck out of the pit in turn number 10. Sounds like he had potentially lost his brakes, maybe had no power steering on top of it, and ended up sliding into the pit and tried to keep his throttle on, but unfortunately was still in the process of when he was trying to get out of the pit, he just ended up getting stuck. Ross Chastain was leading. His teammate at the time had about a 2.5 second lead over Christian Eckes. That caution took place on lap 8, already 2 yellows today. The 20 truck of Brett Holmes having a couple of flat tires on the opening lap of the race. Caution came out on lap 2 by the time he stalled out, so he couldn't make it back to pit road, and then Carson Hocevar spinning in turn 10 and getting stuck in the gravel pit. No major damage on either one of those 2 race trucks. They still continue in. It'll be interesting, though, if the brakes are really, really bad on Hocevar's race truck. I don't know if he's going to be able to continue. And they can put more brake fluid into it, but I don't know if that's going to really... I don't know if it was a leak or if he just didn't have brakes. Whatever the mechanical issue is, they're going to have to go to work on that 42 truck when he gets back into the pits. Melinda Leverett, Shane Epley, welcome into the stream also. So we'll probably be seeing some pit stops and pit road opens when they come back from the commercial break. There were some teams on the wall getting ready to go. And again, we are not at the end of stage 1 yet. There are no stage cautions this weekend at COTA. Just a reminder, no stage cautions in any of the 3 series, but stage points will still be awarded. Lap 12 is the end of stage 1. And again, this caution came out on lap 8. So, I mean, the soonest they could get restarted, about 2 or 3 laps to go in the stage yet. Probably closer to 2 to go in the stage if I had to imagine. Points will be awarded, and I'm sure we'll see a crazy restart with that being the case. It'll also be interesting to see exactly who pits and who stays out, maybe to get some of those stage points. Not sure exactly how far they can go on fuel, and with obviously having a couple early cautions, they're going to be able to save during the yellows as well. This is a big break for Haley Deegan, who had already made a pit stop just a couple laps before that caution came out. She had damage on the right front fender. because of how long this track is, she was still on the lead lap when she came off of pit road, so now she's caught right back up the rear of the field, and because she already pitted, she might not even come down here, and it could cycle back into some better track position. But pit road will be open this time. Field entering turn 20 right now. Who will come in? Who will not? Hocevar's in. Kyle Busch is in. Eckes stays out in second place. Interesting.
Multiple trucks. We see the guys that you were talking about.
Some of the leaders pit, some do not.
For Kyle Busch, he stopped in his box as well. His crew chief for this year, Brian Patty, is very successful on road courses. He said, if we can stop early, we're not going for championship points, so we can get to the end of the race on just one more stop. We're taking off the chances. Kyle is very honest. He said he felt like that win last year was taken away from him. He wants redemption today. Also, Ron Chastain is perfect with letting pit stop for him. 4 tires, fuel, just a couple.
And for Zane Smith, his crew chief Chris Lawson told me earlier that if they would get a caution in the first stage, they will take the option to pit. But he is saying right now with that race truck, that first gear drive is terrible, and he's loose on the right-handers, and it carries him all the way through the exit. So they made some adjustments there for the 38.
So Ross Chastain wins the race off pit road. Everybody took 4 tires, but there was at least 20 trucks that stayed out, so they're going to be very, very deep in the field. If I had to guess, as far as the pit window goes, I would imagine that the trucks that stayed out and haven't pit yet, which there's still quite a few, they're probably going to be able to make it about another handful of laps. So definitely going to be in position to get some stage points. Probably an easier call for Chastain and Kyle Busch to not pit because they're not running for points in the truck series. Strictly trying to strategize their way to potentially go to victory lane. But just when the stage comes to an end, though, I don't think we're going to be seeing everybody exactly hit pit road as soon as that stage ends. I doubt it, honestly. They'll probably try to run it out as far as they can. Big risk, though, at a longer road course like this to try to stretch it on fuel, where if you run out, you are not going to be able to make it all the way back into the pits. So again, Christian Eckes is your leader. First time he has led today. He'll be the control truck on the restart. Those that didn't pit, track's going to eat up those tires. Yeah, we had, I'm trying to think. They had 1 lap of green flag action, then a caution. And then I think they went green on lap 4. So they had 2 laps of yellow. 2 laps of yellow and then the caution at lap 8. So they've only really had 5 or 6 green flag laps on their tires so far. Which does make a little bit of a difference on a longer road course like this. But I don't think it's going to make a major, major difference. Now with Chastain and Kyle Busch having some of the faster trucks, they'll still be able to probably make their way through the field, but it is going to take them a long time to get up to the leaders, and honestly, I don't think they're going to get there until everybody else hits pit road, which is going to be very interesting. The strategy has already begun with the second caution on lap 8 here in stage 1. Again, we are racing to lap 12 for the end of this first stage specifically, so when they go green, there's only going to be 2 laps to go in the stage. Sit for Brains, welcome into the stream. Happened to Haley. She had contact on that first restart back at lap 4. And I think it was with Stuart Friesen in the middle of the pack. I don't know if Friesen didn't take off or a truck in front of him didn't take off. But there were some trucks scattering when they were working up the hill towards turn 1 that didn't get going on the restart initially, and I think she ran into the back of him. There's got to be some other trucks with damage because there was quite a bit on Friesen's truck and not as much on Haley Deegan's compared to Friesen's. I don't think the speed is going to really affect Friesen too much with the damage because it's pretty much on the back of the race truck anyway. A lot of damage on the front of the 52 as well, so he, it definitely wasn't him that didn't take off. It was somebody in front of him, and they're showing the replay right now, actually, so we'll have a better diagnosis of what exactly happened. So it looked like Matt Crafton didn't take off, and a lot of the trucks, both in front and behind him, didn't take off too well. There was another truck that also didn't take off well on the bottom, and I couldn't tell who it was. And that's where Friesen got the damage on the front of his truck. Frank Powers, welcome into the stream. Didn't go for tires, went for... Oh, yeah, they definitely made adjustments. They did take 4 tires when they were down on pit road, though, too. Everybody that did pit took tires. But that wasn't the sole reason they were pitting. You are correct. The sole reason they were pitting was to top off on fuel. Hopefully they can make it a one more stop the rest of the race where everybody else will still have to pit twice. I think that was the big strategy plan there for the 51, the 41, and everybody else that just hit pit road. They're on the restart, already got through turn 1. Christian Eckes easily clear by about 3 truck lengths into the S's. Contact in a battle for second as they get into that second turn. One truck got shoved way wide. I think that might have been the 17 of Tanner Gray. Sanchez making contact with him, and Crafton is spun now, and he's in the gravel pit. Not sure what corner that is in, maybe turn 3. And it looks like Crafton's able to keep his truck going, so no caution. Tough break for Matt Crafton as he got knocked sideways. I'd imagine he probably had some help, and he's going to go to the very tail end of the field. He was mid-pack on the restart, but he has found his way back onto the racing surface. So we do have 2 laps to go in Stage 1. Christian Eck is trying to get the Stage 1 win. Ty Majeski is in second place behind him by about a second. And Kaz Gralla side by side for third with Corey Heim in the 11 truck, who also has quite a bit of damage on the front of his race truck. Heim is going to be clear for third off of turn number 10. Showing a replay of what happened exactly to Crafton. It looks... Still waiting to see. Haley Deegan was the truck on the outside of the 88. I'm thinking that they probably made contact. Showing the assists. Yep, that was the case. Haley Deegan bouncing into Crafton. I didn't even see the 30 truck spun too. So Deegan got into the left rear corner panel of Crafton's race truck. Crafton ended up spinning into the 30. So both Crafton and the 30 went around. And there's a tire rub now on the right front fender of Crafton's race truck, so he will have to pit this time. Pull that fender out so that way that right front tire doesn't blow out. Kyle Busch making a 3-wide move on the outside. Couldn't actually make the pass of DiBenedetto, and he's side by side, in fact, with Ross Chastain, who he's racing with for track position in the back of the field right now, as they both pitted during that caution flag and were the first 2 trucks off of pit road. Crafton on pit road.
In that grill, and they didn't want it to overheat, so they're taking the opportunity to go ahead and execute a full service pit stop. They're going to give him fresh tires and top off with fuel. Also, remember, he didn't qualify either. He had some tire rub issues during practice. They were not able to get those fixed on pit lane, so he missed that track time as well. So it's been kind of a messy weekend for Matt Crafton. He had come up through the field, but this certainly sends him further back than he would like.
And it looks like an uncontrolled tire penalty coming for Crafton as well, so he may end up going a lap down, as even when he makes his pit stop, he'll be on the lead lap, but then he's going to have to make a pass-through penalty. So tough break for Crafton. Spun on the restart and comes in to replace those tires, buff out the fender, top off on fuel. Had a little bit of grass on the grill of the race truck, tried to clean that off, and unfortunately he ends up having an uncontrolled tire penalty with his crew there. Like the front tire changer had that, carrier I should say, had that roll away from him. But it was from the right front tire. Zane Smith is the... actually, Zane Smith, Ross Chastain, and Kyle Busch, they're all inside the top 10 after just pitting during the caution. And they were running in the top 4 leading up to that caution flag at lap 8. Couple more corners to go at the front of the field for Christian Eckes. He's got a 2.5 lead, and then he will win stage 1. Again, there will not be a stage caution, so we will continue to stay green. And everybody who did not pit during that last yellow flag still has to make more than likely 2 pit stops to get to the end of the race on fuel. Everybody that did pit, hoping that they can make it on 1. If they can't, they're going to have to get this track position back. Eckes has just crossed the start-finish line, so Christian Eckes will win stage 1 here today at COTA. Ty Majeski will end up 2nd, Corey Heim 3rd, Kaz Gralla 4th, Kyle Busch 5th, Ross Chastain 6th, Tyler Ankerman 7th, Zane Smith in 8th, Ben Rhodes 9th, and Matt DiBenedetto will round out the top 10. That will be your stage 1 results at Circuit of the Americas in today's XPEL 225 for the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. Amazing that the 3 drivers that started towards the back half of the field of Kyle Busch, Chastain, and Zane Smith were already able to get inside the top 8 before the end of the first stage, taking advantage of the adjustments and the fresh tires. Gralla has been passed now by Busch, so Busch up to 4th. He is the highest running of those 3. Chastain is about a full second behind him. It was the best way for Busch to be able to take advantage of that. Ross Chastain also getting by Gralla. And Zane Smith now right behind the 1 truck. Corey Heim right in front of Kyle Busch. Of course, Heim used to race at KBM in that 51 truck last season. In some races, and running full-time in the 11 this year. Busch going to pass him into turn 10. That's, turn 11. Anchor going way too far wide and almost lost a position to Ben Rhodes as they battle for 8th place. Zane Smith still stuck behind Gralla, taking him a lot longer to get around the 1 truck versus what the 41 to 51 took. Smith dive bombs now into turn 16, and he will make the pass. Moving Zane Smith up to P6. Majeski still a 2.5 off of Eckes at the front of the field. Kyle Busch, who again moved up to 3rd, passing Heim this lap, is 2.5 seconds off the lead and about a full second behind Majeski for 2nd. 14 laps is the scheduled distance also for stage 2. And then 16 laps in the final stage. Tyler Ankrum coming onto pit road for a green flag pit stop from 8th place. Race leader Christian Eckes also on pit road.
7. It's coming your way.
Tap the mic.
Tyler Ingram aimed for his stop, and his word from the crew chief was make sure you manage these tires. We're going to need them to last us for a long time, so when you get back out there, nice and smooth. Heather?
The strategy has played out perfectly here for the 19 team. The crew chief Charles tonight told me earlier their objective was to get as many stage points as possible. Obviously, they won that stage. The only complaint here for the 19 is that he said that he is free into the left-handers and losing overall lateral grip, but he stalls it, so they're going to have to give him a push.
Eckes stalling out on pit road, cost him some time. Ty Majeski stayed out to lead his first lap of the race. He is playing defense on Kyle Busch. Busch trying to get around him quickly because Chastain is closing that gap. He's less than a second now off the race lead as well. Kyle Busch could not get around Ty Majeski through those first 9 turns into turn 10. Looks to dive to the bottom. Still can't get alongside Majeski. Onto the longest straightaway of the racetrack, off of 10, heading towards 11. In the draft is Busch and Chastain, now behind the 98. Majeski should be pitting any lap here, probably going to try to hold on to the lead. And then once he loses it, I'd imagine that's when he'll hit pit road. Kyle Busch looking low into 11, dives back in line, makes a second move to the inside, and he'll pull alongside Majeski. Can he pass him? If he can't, Ross Chastain might be there for the taking for 2nd place. Little contact maybe on the restart from the 98 truck because he's got a donut on the left side. Busch will make the pass. Chastain will get by for 2nd. It looks like Majeski just kind of let the leaders go. And so Kyle Busch will retake the... Actually, he'll take his first lead of the race, and then Chastain up to 2nd. So the drivers who started on the front row now running P1 and 2 once again. Really on the first time that we have seen this since the restart at lap 4, where Busch and Chastain have been 1-2, but this time it's Kyle Busch again in the lead and Chastain in second, but Chastain is right there. He caught up to Kyle Busch because it took Busch about a handful of corners to get by Majeski, and Zane Smith in fourth now right behind the 98. Majeski stays out of the pits again that last time by. He still has yet to hit pit road. Looks like a full screen commercial break right now for Fox. The race is on FS1. If you were wondering, we'll take our first break of the races. You're watching the XPEL 225 at COTA live on KRC. And the raw feed's still not available on NASCAR's website. Still pretty early in this race yet. Stage 1 just completed. Still have a little bit less than 30 laps to go, which is a long ways at this racetrack. 28 laps to go as of right now. Yeah, I did see, it looked like Matt Crafton's team was trying to back his truck up on pit road towards the garage, so Crafton's day maybe has just come to an end. Unfortunate for him. I'm curious to know if Kyle Busch and Ross Chastain will be able to make it on fuel to the end of Stage 2, or if they're going to have to pit before that. Because they could be in a good position to actually get stage points and then pit. Again, the 51 and the 41... 51, 41, 38 are the three trucks we're watching right now that are likely battling for the lead. They pitted during the caution flag. We've seen some drivers stay out to get the stage points and then pit right after. Some drivers stayed out to get stage points and are still out on the racetrack. The hopes for Kyle Busch, Ross Chastain, and Zane Smith is that they can make it on fuel by pitting just one more time in this race. So that is why they pitted primarily back during the lap 8 caution for Carson Hocevar spinning. And after Hocevar ended up spinning out on the racetrack, he is still back in 34th. So I don't know if he ended up actually going behind the garage. I know they were under the hood of that race truck, and of course Crafton just got pushed back into the garage, and he still scored ahead of Hocevar right now. So unfortunately, I think both of those trucks may be done for the afternoon. But again, Kyle Busch currently leading during this commercial break. And then Ross Chastain is in second. Zane Smith still has not gotten by Ty Majeski for third. Lagging a little bit further behind Chastain and Busch since the restart. 41 and the 51 were able to get through traffic a little bit quicker. Now, Christian Eckes has fresher tires than the 51 and the 41, and he was actually a second and a half ahead of Majeski when he hit pit road. It was about a lap and a half after Eckes pitted before Busch was able to get to the lead, and Chastain was able to get to second, passing the 98. So after Busch and Chastain pit, we're probably going to see Christian Eckes back in the lead. Again, I don't know if that will be in Stage 2 or if that will be the beginning of Stage 3. That is important because Christian Eckes, running for points in the Truck Series, who just won Stage number 1, in a position to try to sweep the stages today, potentially. And the raw feed is available. So we have our normal... Oh my gosh. It's a little weird, but we have our normal leaderboard back. And check out the Truck Series point standings while we're under the commercial break. This is what the standings looked like coming into the day. Two drivers again locked into the playoffs. Zane Smith and Christian Eckes. Eckes won last week at Atlanta. Zane Smith at Daytona. So 2 super speedway wins. And then Kyle Busch won at Las Vegas, locking the 51 truck in for the owners' playoffs. It is a 5-point lead for Eckes in the regular season standings coming into the day. So that's probably why he stayed out to get the stage points. Matt Crafton, who was second, out of the race right now after a spin and some sort of mechanical issue, it appears. So, tough break for Crafton. He's going to drop pretty far back. And for Eckes, that was his third stage win already this season. So, 8 playoff points on the year for Christian Eckes. This is only the 4th race of the Truck Series season so far. Back from the break, Kyle Busch continues to lead right now. Chastain a half a second still behind him, keeping very, very close to that 51. Zane Smith, during the break, was able to get by Majeski for third. He's about a second and a half, maybe 2 seconds off the race lead, and already a full second and a half ahead of Majeski, so he must have passed him about a lap ago or so. And Majeski still stays out of the pits this time by, so Ty Majeski, they're at lap 5 in Stage 2, so that means overall we're at lap number 16. 16 or 17 right now. Gonna try refreshing the page real quick and see. Parker Kligerman's got some damage on the front of his race truck also. He is up inside the top 5 in 5th. Kligerman also pitted the same lap that Ross Chastain, Zane Smith, and Kyle Busch pitted. So Kligerman on the same strategy as the leaders. And once he gets by Majeski, he'll be up to 4th. Whether that would be because of Majeski pitting or he catches him on the track. He's about 6 seconds behind Majeski. And behind the next closest driver on the same strategy as him, which would be Zane Smith in 3rd. He is about 7 seconds behind him. Kyle Busch a couple tenths quicker than Chastain that last lap, expands the lead to 9/10 of a second as of the start-finish line that last time by. We're down to 26 laps to go in the race, but still 10 laps to go yet in Stage 2. Final stage will be 16 laps. Eckes, who ended up pitting at the end of the stage, he had a little bit of a slow takeoff leaving the pits. Corey Heim pitted the same lap as him, and Heim actually was able to cycle ahead of Eckes by about 3 seconds. Eckes would be second running of the drivers who pitted after the stage break. So again, trying to keep track of all the strategy going involved in this race so far. As we're seeing a split strategy, 2 different strategies. Some drivers pitted during the second caution, some stayed out. And the drivers, really we have 3 strategies going on because there are drivers who haven't pitted at all yet. Like Ty Majeski, maybe going to try to make this a 1-stop with getting the stage points at the end of Stage 1. That'd be pretty brilliant if he could do that. Even though he's lost track position with the older tires now and he's back at 4th and losing the top 3. But to get the stage points for finishing second in the stage and still hopefully keep it up with the leaders on that same strategy, that would be huge. Showing an on-track battle right now between Lawless Allen and Haley Deegan, who are racing for 9th. Deegan throwing a half block down into turn 1 for position. Allen with a big dive bomb makes the pass, overdrives the corner, almost clipped the one truck of Casgrala, and Deegan with the crossover is going to complete the pass. Allen drove it in way too hard into the corner, and he almost took himself and the one of Grala out. As Deegan wasn't only able to clear the 45, but cleared him by about 2 or 3 truck lengths. Big hole in the right front fender. That 13 still has to be affecting the handling of that race truck, you'd have to imagine. Surprised there isn't a tire rub on that race truck either, because it's bashed in pretty good. Wow. Allen to the outside of Deegan this time. As they run side by side down the long straightaway heading towards turn 11. It's going to be tough to complete the pass up high, but we'll see if he can do it. Door to door entering turn 11. And I think the wise move probably would have been to try to undercut the corner behind her. I think she might have been able to get underneath unless he wanted the bottom for the next couple corners, which is the case. Still not able to complete the pass, though. Deegan will be on the bottom now into 15. And a little more contact between the 45 and the 13. She better be careful here, because Lawless Allen looking like he is maybe getting a little bit of frustration built up behind the wheel as there was contact after Deegan slammed the door shut. Throwing the 45 truck maybe a little bit wide off of turn 15. Allen seems to be just a little bit quicker. Deegan goes wide in turn 20. And Allen going to complete the pass on the bottom. Again, that was a battle for 9th. At the front of the field, Chastain ran a little bit quicker of a lap time than Kyle Busch that last lap. He's closed the gap to about a half a second off the lead. 8 laps to go currently in Stage 2. Zane Smith is still losing the top 2. His lap time that last lap about 0.8 of a second slower than Busch, as he is over 3.5 seconds off the lead. Exactly. Stages do not mean anything for Kyle Busch and Ross Chastain. It's going to be a good battle between the 41 and the 51 all race long because they have been very close with each other this whole race as well as on the same strategy. Kligerman and Ben Rhodes now battling for 5th place. Rhodes has caught Kligerman. Remember, Kligerman damaged to the front of that race truck. A big hole pretty much right in the center of the nose. Has to be slowing that truck down quite a bit down the straightaways aerodynamically. And Ben Rhodes easily made that pass a couple corners ago. 2 Thor Sport trucks in the top 5, 3 in the top 10, and of course Craftsman unfortunately out of the race. Nick Sanchez in 7th, rookie for KBM as well. He's closing in on Kligerman and Rhodes for position. Could potentially get himself in the top 5. Biggest movers since the restart. Stuart Friesen is the biggest so far, 19 spots up. Since the lap 8 restart, he is in 11th currently. Side by side for the lead into turn 1. Chastain to the inside of Kyle Busch. 7 to go in the stage and about 23 to go in the race. Door to door through turn 2 into the S's, and Busch going to give up the lead. Chastain back out in front. First time he has led since pitting back at lap 8. Took about 13 laps for Chastain to get back to the race lead. Kyle Busch sliding a little bit too much off of turn number 8. Chastain really pulled away from him. Sanchez is now on pit road.
Turn of that number 2 truck, but we also have an issue for the number 19 of Christian Eckes, our stage leader. He's been telling the team that he's having power steering issues with that number 19, so he's bringing it down pit road right now. They did say they're going to have to take a look at it here and to have a power steering belt ready, and they're going to go under the hood for the 19. They're also going to put some fuel on it.
So tough break for Christian Eckes. Power steering gone in that race truck. He is on pit road. They are going to work under the hood of the 19. He won stage 1. Very unfortunate situation for Eckes. Second truck to have a power steering failure today. Hocevar had one earlier, lost control and ended up spinning. Also a little bit of a brake issue on Hocevar as well, but he is out. Crafton is out. Dean Thompson's out, and then Jones, who had that issue early in the race, also out. Still waiting on Ty Majeski to hit pit road back on the lap. Or hasn't pit at all. If he's going to make it a 1 pit stop, he is going to have to go 1 more lap after this, and then we'll be exactly halfway in today's race. And Majeski is in at lap 20, coming to lap 21, so he's going to have to stretch the second run out about 1 lap longer if he's going to want to make it a 1 stop today. But it's going to be tough if we don't get any cautions because we had 2 cautions at the beginning of this race. Chastain took the lead from Busch, as mentioned, about a lap ago. And in the same spot he took the lead away from Busch, he's already a second ahead of him the following lap. I don't know if Majeski's going to make it on field to the end, honestly. They're going to try to get that truck as full as possible. But he's going to have to go 1 more lap than when he ran the first run. And again, we had about, 3 or 4 caution, probably 4 caution laps ran in the first stage that helped him get to this point in the run further than anybody else had gone.
changing your gears a little bit lower RPM, you could save some of that fuel. But I just believe there's going to be more pit stops. I think that probably isn't going to play out to have that old of tires on at the end of the race.
But the unique position that it puts Majeski in is the fact that all those guys are going to come in and put their last set of tires on, and if they have to, they're going to have to pit sooner under green than what he's going to have to, so he's got more options.
Dive there. The 46 of Dale Quarterly, you saw him make a big move there. Here comes Nick Sanchez around Grant Enfinger. Look at this mess. Quarterly's done a nice job. I think that's him in the middle there. Isn't that the 46 truck? He had an early pit stop, but he's battled back in that white and red truck.
Yeah, Majeski and Sanchez both just pitted, and they came out in the middle of these trucks in traffic, and they want nothing more than to do exactly what Ty just did, to clear these trucks that are slower than they are, to make lap time while the tires are new.
You know, problems continue there. That's Christian Eckes. They're still looking under the hood, and Eckes was so strong early on, led 3 laps, won the first stage, but
yeah, they'll be thankful for that first stage win. That heals a few wounds. There's Ben Rhodes making his way down pit road.
Ben Rhodes on pit road.
Heather?
And for Ben Rhodes earlier in the day, he was not happy with his qualifying effort, and he said he did not like starting the race that far in the back. It's hard to make track position, but here he is pitting from that 7th spot. They're going to go ahead and add 4 tires and fuel for him as well, and then they'll send him back out on pit road.
Really interesting to look at this top 10 right now and how things are shaken out. I see Stuart Friesen just entered the top 10 for the first time today. He had some damage early on in this race.
There's Haley with that damage, but still soldiering on in the 7th position. Just got passed by Kaz Grala. And then there's Stewart. We talked about his problems. And Caden Honeycutt. You got to give it up for Caden. He's done a nice job. He's worked his way inside the top 10.
And right behind him, Raja Karuth, he was the first one that was penalized for cutting the course through the S's, so he's worked his way up.
Logan Bearden in the 22. He's been fun to watch today. A lot of good stories of guys and ladies that have raced their way inside the top 10.
This story of Logan Bearden, I love it. He's a mechanic for AM Racing in the trucks and the ARCA Menard series, and once again getting a shot here to show what he's capable of. And the reason why he's taking those other jobs and being a mechanic is to be here today. So doing a really nice job there for Bearden back there in the 12th spot.
Mike, look at this. Kaz Grala has not pitted yet, and
we've run 21 laps.
Yeah, that puts him in a position to just
one stop
if this thing does something crazy and goes green.
So there you go. Kaz Grala is the only truck that still has not hit pit road today, and he is still in the top 10, which is incredible, really, in 7th place. Haley Deegan and Stuart Friesen have closed that gap on him, though. They're only like a second and a half behind him. But still, I mean, he's in 7th, and he hasn't pitted. So, incredible there. Definitely going to make it a one stop if he pits now, as we're exactly halfway. Actually, 20 to go. We're a little past halfway. Another pass for the lead in turn 1. Kyle Busch back out in front of Ross Chastain as Chastain pulled away, got out to a little over a 1 second lead, and Busch ran him back down again. They should just keep the camera locked on these two. I mean, they have been back and forth throughout the course of this run. An incredible battle, really, between Ross Chastain and Kyle Busch, and now with 20 to go in the race, it is very, very intriguing to watch. One more stop left for them. Kaz Grala is on pit road right now, servicing his truck for the first time.
Lap times, that last lap, he was already half a second slower than the lap before, which was already 3.5 seconds off the pace of the leaders, and it all comes down to how fresh those tires are. Their intention is to go to the end of the race. They're going to have some severe drop-off when they get there.
Thank you, Jamie.
Well, we talked about at the beginning of the show, Jamie Little, that the strategies would be all over the board. And I think that we called that pretty well because we've seen a lot of that. Check out how Kyle gets the lead.
What it appears that these trucks have kind of swapped. It seems like Ross's truck is starting to fall off, and Kyle just got a heck of a run off the last corner and drove by him.
Yeah, I looked at the lap times 2 laps ago. Ross was a half a second faster, but then the last time by, Kyle was a second faster than Ross, so something's going on there. It's Ross is fading. Wonder what's going on. It's about time for a pit stop, I think.
It's a quick fade, too. He's 2 seconds behind Busch already. He just lost the lead a lap ago.
Told me they thought they might pit.
Yeah, and he could possibly be in a position of saving fuel in order to try to get himself to a particular spot. We're hearing that he has a fuel pressure issue, so that would explain the sudden drop-off down the straightaway when Kyle just drove by him.
Certainly. There he goes. Is that Daniel Dye battling?
Dye in the 43. One of the trucks that started in the back of the field today. First road course race for him. 41.
Chastain on pit road.
And Ross Chastain clean in. He hit the marks. The team was ready for him. I was listening to him right now, and he said, I'm trying not to spend a whole lot of time here, so make this work quick. They went ahead, topped him off. Don't see like there's any worry and any issue that he may potentially have. They're just making sure it was cool.
So Ross Chastain's service is finished. The question now, when does Kyle Busch pit?
I think it's going to be pretty soon, but we won't miss it no matter when it is.
Full field running order right now with 3 laps to go in Stage 2. Kyle Busch leads. Zane Smith second. Parker Kligerman third. Lawless Allen fourth. Taylor Gray fifth. Ross Chastain scored in 6th when he was on pit road. Probably going to be a little further back once he leaves the pits. Stuart Friesen in 7th. Haley Deegan 8th. Caden Honeycutt 9th. Chase Purdy is 10th. Chris Wright in 11th. Corey Heim in 12th. 13th place is Ty Majeski, Ben Rhodes 14th, Matt DiBenedetto 15th, Nick Sanchez in 16th, Tanner Gray 17th, Grant Enfinger in 18th, Tyler Ankrum 19th, Jake Garcia is 20th, 21st is Daniel Dye, Mason Filippi 22nd, 23rd is Brett Holmes, Colby Howard 24th, Kaz Gralla in 25th, 26th place is Raja Karuth, Logan Bearden in 27th, Dale Quarterly 28th, Colin Garrett 29th, Timmy Hill is the last truck in the lead lap in 30th. Christian Eckes had a power steering issue. He is a few laps down, 4 down to be exact, in 31st. Spencer Boyd is out of the race in 32nd. Matt Crafton out in 33rd. Carson Hocevar 34th. Dean Thompson 35th. And Ed Jones rounds out the 36 truck field right now. Again, 3 laps to go in Stage 2. Kyle Busch still out on the track. Ross Chastain pitted about a lap ago. He was 2 seconds off the race lead. Over a full 21-lap run, we were hearing that Kaz Gralla was about 3.5 seconds off of his original race pace. So there is quite a bit of tire fall off over the course of the run in just 21 laps. With this being a longer road course, the sun is out. It's a warmer weekend, above 80 degrees both today and tomorrow at Austin, Texas. So Busch stays out another lap, 2 to go in the stage. Now, pit road is not closed with 2 laps to go in the stage anymore because there is no caution leading to the end of the stage, so they can pit whenever. Busch a little loose down in turn 1, saw his front tires turning right as he was making that hard 90-degree left-handed corner, so he is definitely struggling at this point in the run. He's still 4.5 seconds ahead of Zane Smith, who is in second, but kind of surprised Chastain pitted as early as they did. This is going to give him a pretty decent-sized lead over Kyle Busch, but Busch is going to have fresher tires to try to run him back down to the end, which is going to be fun to watch whenever Kyle Busch ends up making that pit stop. Now, because he last pitted during the lap 8 caution, we've been able to see drivers go anywhere between 20 to 22 laps at furthest on fuel, like Ty Majeski and Kaz Gralla. Kyle Busch will end up having to hit pit road, by my calculations, around lap 28 or 30 if he tries to run it out as far as he can, which would be about 4 to 6 laps from now. We got other cars, trucks on pit road. Tanner Gray is in.
They're on fuel right now, so eyes are open. The crew's ready for him. It's going to come down to Kyle when he takes his time.
That's the man making the call. Brian Patty on the pit box right there.
Yeah, and he's 2.6 seconds slower than his fast lap, so there's definitely some fall off late in the run.
Daniel Dye on pit road, getting service there.
There's Kyle Busch making his way. Sounds like a little bit of debate between the crew chief and the driver about what the best strategy might be.
And as the crew chief, when you got the owner of the team in the truck, I guess you kind of have to listen to him, right?
Well, they're in an okay spot because of being the leader and losing less time. I mean, the only person that was close to them racing, I guess, would be Zane and Ross Chastain. But we don't know exactly what was happening with the Chastain truck. Did he have a fuel pressure issue? Did they not get a full fuel? So we don't know that he can actually go all the way to the end.
Ross Chastain shown in 8th right now. So Kyle Busch has a 4-second lead over Zane Smith. Parker Kligerman has driven his way up through the field. He's in 3rd. Wallace Allen and Stuart Friesen now joins the top 5.
And Jamie, if you look back to Ross Chastain in 8th, he's 40 seconds behind Kyle. It takes about 45 seconds to make a pit stop and get from one end of pit road to the other. So that means when the cycle ends, Ross is going to have an advantage. Now we have the question about what's the situation with his fuel pressure.
Jamie?
Well, I just checked with Mike Hillman Jr., the crew chief, and he said they did have a slight fuel pressure issue before they came to pit lane. I mentioned during that pit stop they were making sure it was full. They went back, grabbed the second can of gas of it. Mike said they are confident that they got it all the way topped off.
So that's good news, right? Maybe his problems are in the past. They think they got it full. So Ross Chastain should be good to go.
Yep.
As we continue to wait for the 51 when they decide to pit.
Well, Mike, don't you think there has to be some sort of conversation in Kyle Busch's mind to say, okay, if we do get a caution at the end, I want to be in control of having a little bit better tire?
Yeah, and I think that we know that he could pit now and make it, and we thought that, but with not needing the points, he might take advantage of that. But I think with the fall off in the tires, Kyle has decided behind the wheel of that truck, I need to run these tires on out and have fresher ones than Ross, which could be a big advantage. He's already run a couple more laps where it has Ross, so we'll see how this plays out.
Well, Kyle ran a 2:17.9 the last lap, the lap before, and the last lap was a 2:18.5. So he's definitely, the times are definitely falling off.
And I'm wondering, and you tell me, Kevin, are some of the drivers that have pitted, are they maybe taking it a little bit easier on their tires so they don't burn them up right now and have a little bit left for later?
That's a great question, because you look down the leaderboard here, and you've got Ben Rhodes, who ran a 2:16.70. Got Majeski 17.5. So Kyle's in clear track. So it's interesting to think that he would. I would be surprised if he was not going as fast as he could go.
Final lap of stage number 2.
So there you go. Kyle Busch will win stage 2 at COTA. We have officially 16 laps to go. Zane Smith pitting on the last lap of the stage, which is interesting considering the fact he is running full time 4 points. I don't know where exactly his pit box is, so I'm not sure where he'll be scored. Parker Kligerman is very slow, by the way, on the front stretch. May have ran it out of fuel. And now the 04 of Caden Honeycutt is spun as well. That looked like it was off of turn 19, where Honeycutt ended up going wide. Zane Smith in the pits.
Stayed out to get the stage points, but they decided to go opposite the 51 here.
Thank you, Heather. And Parker Kligerman, there you see him. He was running 3rd at the time. Tough break.
Well,
Kligerman's truck is still running, but he has to go up that steep hill towards turn 1. If he stalls out, this will be our 3rd yellow of the day. And this is going to be a tough break for Kyle Busch, who hasn't hit pit road yet, because then Ross Chastain's going to end up being the leader. Caution's out. Caution flag is out for Parker Kligerman. Tough break. Kligerman was in 3rd, and his truck is stalled out on the front stretch. Now, there's some smoke coming out of the front of that race truck as well. So I don't know if it's a fuel issue, because there is smoke coming out from underneath the hood of the 75 of Kligerman, having a good run. Again, he won on a road course in the Truck Series with that team last year at Mid-Ohio, and unfortunately running 3rd today. Has a mechanical issue, and because Kyle Busch did not hit pit road yet, this is going to put him back in traffic. And Ross Chastain, who is in 7th right now, who has already made his last stop, will be the leader. Now, the problem is Chastain's going to have about 5 lap older tires than everybody else. That will come into play as well. So even though Chastain will cycle to the lead, as well as I think Kaz Gralla will stay out likely, Ty Majeski will stay out thinking they can make it to the end. There will be more trucks in line behind Chastain, but I think Kyle Busch is still in good shape. The big race is going to be that race off pit road, I think, between Kyle Busch. Zane Smith was actually on pit road when the caution flag came out, so this probably benefits Zane Smith more than anybody else, because Smith will have fresh tires on the restart, and he will be ahead of everybody else who will pit during the caution to top off to make sure they can make it on fuel. And definitely fuel conservation mode for Ty Majeski and Kaz Grala, but I'd say more so for Majeski because he pitted 2 laps before the one of Grala did. Yeah, and Zane Smith having this caution, he'll be ahead of Kyle Busch on the restart on equal tires as him. There was contact between Haley Deegan and Caden Honeycutt, which spun both trucks out. Honeycutt was able to keep it rolling, get out of the gravel pit, and Haley Deegan was able to correct her truck. That right front is taking a beating today. That's like the 3rd truck I've seen her make contact with, and the 2nd one that has spun out off that right front fender of Deegan's truck. They were battling for, I believe, 7th or 8th place on the track. Actually, 6th. They were battling for 6th at the time. But that caution for that spin on the front, or the stall on the front stretch with Kligerman actually kind of bailed them out because they were still in the top 10. They're going to be on equal tires as everybody else now, and yeah, that engine is definitely giving out on Kligerman's truck. A lot of smoke. And Kligerman's getting out of the race truck, so his day is definitely coming to an end. Tough break. Hate to see that for Parker Kligerman. Was in 3rd place before that truck stalled out. Early end of the truck race, he'll be racing the Xfinity Series in the 48 car later today, as he'll be doing all season long. So again, we're under caution for the 3rd time this afternoon in the XPEL 225 for the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series at Circuit of the Americas. We'll be having pit stops on the other side of the break. So you're watching this live on KRC. Down to 15 to go. Menace, thanks for tuning in. Weird seeing a bow tie next to Bush's name. Familiar if you were maybe a fan back in the mid-2000s. You can maybe faintly remember that when you drove for Hendrick Motorsports. Yeah, the caution definitely hurt Kyle Busch. I don't think it's going to hurt him as bad. It depends what kind of pace Ross Chastain's going to have, because again, Chastain's going to have about 5-lap older tires. He will be the leader on the restart, I'd imagine. I mean, there's a chance Chastain could pit again, just to be on equal tires. He's in 6th. I mean, there's a chance Chastain pits again, but even if he doesn't pit, or if he does pit, I think that Kaz Grala, Ty Majeski will definitely stay out, because they're running 14th and 19th, and they're trying to make this race on just one pit stop. And everybody else on a 2-stop strategy, but there's 2 separate split strategies with the 2-stoppers, because some drivers pitted during the lap 8 caution back in stage 1, and then some pitted after stage 1 was over. They stayed out to get the stage points, and they pitted within the first couple laps after it. Those guys will definitely have to pit twice still. But as far as I know, Kaz Grala and Ty Majeski are the only 2 drivers trying to make this race on one pit stop. Unless they pit now too, but then that would have cost them so much time, because they were in the top 5 at the end of stage 1, and now they're outside the top 10 if they were to go back on the same strategy. Not to mention they didn't get stage points at stage 2 either. Sarah Isaac, thanks for tuning in. Earl Arnold Jr., welcome into the stream also. Juanita Luna. Stu Isaac. Welcome in. Yeah, Kellogg's number 5. That was a nice paint scheme. Not as good as the Tiger stripe Tony the Tiger car that Terry Labonte had, but De Benedetto a lap down? No, I don't think so. Yeah, De Benedetto's in 10th. He's in 10th right now. He started deep in the field. Had to drop to the rear at the start of the race, along with about a dozen other drivers. Xfinity race today will start at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the channel, so we are about 2 hours from the drop of the green flag there. It's still 15 laps to go in this Truck Series race at COTA as of right now. Average race speed to this point, 72.41 miles per hour. 3 cautions. We're under a 3rd yellow after a stalling of Parker Kligerman on the racetrack after an engine failure. And then we had a caution back on lap 7. Carson Hocevar had spun. Actually, that was lap 8 is when that caution took place. Exactly when Hocevar spun in turn 11, got stuck in the gravel pit, and then the 20 truck had 2 flat rear tires and stalled out back on lap 2 as well. So those are the 3 yellows. This is our first caution since lap 8 back in stage 1. And again, it came with 16 laps to go. When we get to the restart, we'll probably have anywhere between 13 to 14 to go. Pit road will be open this time for everybody to hit pit road, who still has to top off on field to the end, which is most of the field, really. Very few trucks will be able to stay out. Zane Smith going to stay out the 38. He's on the same strategy as Busch, so that's a little interesting that he stays out of the pits here.
Road.
Finally, Kyle Busch is in the pits. Jamie.
We saw Brian Patty visibly upset, but he remained composed over the radio with Kyle. Kyle ultimately apologizing, saying that he was sorry. He was trying to figure out what the tire life was like, and to the best of his ability, he thinks they have 12 to 15 laps before they see any fall off. We have 15 to go. He said, I'm going to do the work. Wallace Allen up pit lane, a little bit of a different story. It's a different attitude. His crew chief, Wally Rogers, said, don't worry about anything. We're running our own race. We're doing a solid job. No adjustments for him. Heather?
And Haley Deegan's also in. When she was under caution there, she said the truck was sputtering just a little bit, so they might have been getting close on fuel. They're going to take the time here, too, to fix the damage on the right front of that 13.
That's a tough break because she was in 5th place, having to buff the damage out of that race truck. And Chastain is back on pit road. There's a crew member literally in the back of the race truck right now, so they're going to work. So Chastain is going to lose a lot of track position as well.
Off going down the straightaway, so that's why we were asking so many questions. We thought there might be something here, and obviously the team didn't lead us down that road completely, but something had to go wrong.
Isn't that kind of fun to be getting in the bed of your truck?
That's not something I've ever seen. Very interesting. They're working on it. Too bad, because he had a great day.
Yes, ask him if it helped filling it up. Did the fuel help it at all? Did not make any difference. Did not help it. Did not.
Stevie Reeves, the spotter, trying to get the communication between Mike Hillman Jr. and Ross, and the question was simple: did the filling it up with fuel help anything? And Ross said it did not. And I watched his lap times; they were visibly, like they were probably a second off of what he had been running. So issues in the bed of his truck.
Ross Chastain, class of the field in qualifying, set a new track record, started the day on pole at 10 laps. Had a heck of a battle going with Kyle Busch, but things had gone sideways for this team. Hey, coming up next, it's the NASCAR Xfinity Series.
Again, so Zane Smith stayed out of the pits. He only has made 1 stop, and it was back on lap 8, so he definitely won't be able to make it to the end on fuel. I don't know why. Oh, my bad. I'm sorry. I apologize on that one. I just dawned on me. He actually was on pit road when the caution flag came out. That's why he was still in the top 5. He already was in his pit box, so well past the commitment line. So that's why he stayed out. So Zane Smith is going to be on fresh tires, and he'll be the leader. He was probably the biggest beneficiary of this caution flag coming out. Kyle Busch, who won the race off of pit road, he'll be 17th on the restart. Actually, that might not even be correct. They're heading to the choose cone right now. Waiting to see where exactly Kyle Busch is at. Kyle Busch will be on the inside of row 8. So 15th is where Kyle Busch will be on the restart. A lot of trucks will have to pass. They'll have about 4 to 5 lap fresher tires than most of those trucks that stayed out. But he's going to have to get on it. Him and Chastain have been the class of the field today. Chastain having a mechanical issue, and that ill-timing caution for Busch has put him back in traffic. And Zane Smith, trying to go for his 2nd win in the early going to the season, will have 13 laps to go on the restart. And this could be the final one of the day. Our leaderboard will update once the field gets into the restart. Updates when they get to the start-finish line every lap. They were just on pit road, so that's why it's all scrambled around right now. Drivers that are scored in the top 10 on our screen aren't actually in the top 10 with hitting pit road. Zane Smith will be the leader, though. That is accurate. Excuse me. That snuck up on me. Got about 140 people watching. Be sure to like and subscribe for more daily NASCAR content if you haven't already. Currently sitting at 55 likes on the stream, so we'll try to run that up. And again, our Xfinity Series race coverage will begin at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time today. Cup Series action tomorrow on the channel at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with the live commentary live streams. Pace truck will be heading to pit road this time. 13 laps to go at Circuit of the Americas for the NASCAR NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. Busch will be on the inside. I'm sure he'll be taking it 3 wide or maybe even more into the first turn. Green flag is in the air for Zane Smith. He'll be on the inside of row 1 as the control truck. He's got fresher tires than the first, probably 5-6 rows behind him, so he's going to try to take control here. Big block in row number 2 by the 17 of Tanner Gray. Making contact with Raja Caruth as they're 4 wide into the first turn. Couple trucks getting forced wide. Everybody hangs on for now. Kyle Busch is right behind it all. He's going to go up the middle. 3 wide for Busch. He's sandwiched between 2 trucks. There's contact into the S's. He's got to be careful back there not to cut a tire, but he's definitely being aggressive. Couple trucks with some tire rubs as we're seeing some smoke with some of the trucks in the field getting through the S's after that wadded up restart in turn 1. 3 wide still around Stuart Friesen, Dale Quarterly, and Corey Heim. Friesen locks the right front tire up, trying to stay off of the 46. 3 wide behind him still. Couple trucks sliding off towards the grass. Friesen is almost around, hangs on to it. Chase Purdy making a dive bomb 3 wide through turn 10 on the inside of a couple trucks as well. Nick Sanchez is who he's battling with currently for position. Tyler Ankrum right around there as well. Kyle Busch passing the 22 truck of Logan Bearden. And I believe Busch is already up to 11, so he got by 4 trucks in the first half of a lap off the restart. And a 3 wide move by Busch, getting by Purdy and Ankrum as well. Unbelievable move by Kyle Busch. Of course, he has fresher tires than the trucks ahead of him. Can he get through the traffic? The only truck that is ahead of him that has equal tires is Zane Smith, who is the leader. And quickly out ahead of Ben Rhodes by about at least 3 or 4 truck lengths. 1 truck spins. It's the 22 of Logan Bearden. He's around in turn 14. He's sitting, has to wait for the field to pass by. He's still stopped. Not everybody has gotten through yet. Spotter's going to have to wait for him to get clear. Onto the main straightaway, 12 laps to go for Zane Smith. Busch has been faster than him all day, but how much will Busch be using his tires trying to get through the pack? And will we stay green to the end of the race as well? Kyle Busch getting by a couple more trucks. Off of turn 20, Tanner Gray and Chris Wright. He has passed Busch to 7th. Next truck he'll have to pass is Tanner Gray in the 15. And then Ty Majeski in the 98 is in 5th. Assuming that the 22 is able to get rolling again, I think he was just stalled out waiting for everybody else to pass by because he was still on the pavement. So wasn't stuck in the gravel pit like we saw from Carson Hocevar earlier today. Kyle Busch into turn 10, makes the pass on Tanner Gray. Couple of trucks side by side for 4th of Raja Caruth and Ty Majeski. Caruth able to hang on to 4th place. And now making a big block on Majeski on the long straightaway between turns 10 and 11. Majeski makes a move to the outside. And down into turn 11 go the 24 and the 98. The 1 of Gralla right in front of both race trucks into that corner. Caruth hanging on. This is allowing Kyle Busch to close in much quicker, but he's trapped behind the truck side by side in front of him. Nowhere to go for Busch. Majeski got to clear the 24 of Caruth. Caruth slides, almost makes contact with Busch. Busch is going to make the pass on him for 5th. Off of turn 14, Carruth slides a little contact from behind, which caused the slide. Then Chase Purdy's around off of turn 14 in front of Corey Heim. He gets going back in the right direction, but he's going to lose about a dozen positions before he was able to get back going. Purdy now going to drop outside the top 20, it appears. A 2-second lead, roughly, for Zane Smith over Ben Rhodes to the start-finish line. 11 laps to go for Smith. Kyle Busch has raced his way up to 5th. But he is about 6.5 seconds still off the race lead. Tanner Gray side by side with Taylor Gray. Kyle Busch in turn 1 passes both the 24 and the 98. Busch moves up to 4th. Rather, it was the 1 in the 98 he passed, so he's actually up to 3rd. Gralla has moved backwards to 5th. So Majeski got by the 1 for 4th, and then Busch got by both of them to move into P3. He's still 6.5 seconds off the lead, but he's got some clean air in front of him now. And the trucks behind him, in his rear view, are all on older tires. He was definitely the quickest of those on 4 fresh tires to get through the field. Kyle Busch putting on a show in the final 15 laps. Trying to get his 2nd truck win of the season, as is race leader Zane Smith. Busch won stage 2 today. Christian Eckes won stage 1. And we'll have to keep an eye on the lap times between the 51 and the 38 now that there's clean air for both of them. Now, Busch will still have to pass Ben Rhodes in the 99, but he's about 3 seconds behind him still. And Zane Smith 3.5 seconds ahead of Rhodes. In the community tab earlier today, I asked you guys who you thought was going to win today's Craftsman Truck Series race at Circuit of the Americas, and I believe Kyle Busch had won that vote. Looking back on it right now, 56% of the votes out of 117 said Kyle Busch would win today's race. Ross Chastain had the second most votes with 24%. Unfortunately, he had a mechanical issue. He is, I believe, out of the race right now, unfortunately. Or no, he is in the race. He's in 16th, still on the lead lap. He led a lot of laps early on, qualified on the pole. Zane Smith, who leads the race, has 9% of the votes. Ty Majeski, who is in 4th place, has 1% of the votes. And then other at 11% of the votes. And for the other pick, we got Carson Hocevar, a Haley Deegan vote. We have a Noah Gregson, who's not in the race today, as well as Alex Bowman, but it's like other probably would have been there. I thought I saw Matt Crafton vote earlier. I guess I was wrong on that. But Kyle Busch is your guys' pick to win today's race. He was my pick to win today's race, too. We'll see if he could seal the deal late. It's happening to Ben Rhodes. He's just on older tires. He can't keep up with Zane Smith. Kyle Busch could run him down as a result also. 10 to go right now. That last lap, Kyle Busch was about a little less than a tenth slower than Zane Smith. So again, Busch had to use his tires up trying to get through the pack. He restarted 15th, got to 3rd. He's still closing in on Rhodes, but as far as his lap times in comparison to Zane Smith, it's going to be tough to catch him without a caution. That's a lot of time to gain. He's going to have to be almost a second quicker a lap. Not impossible, but I guess if anybody can do it, it would be Kyle Busch. Especially in the Truck Series.
Fastest part of the racetrack as they enter turn 12, 160 miles per hour.
How cool is that? 160 down to what, 40? Do you see what's straight ahead? A Ferris wheel. I like it when they have those at the track. Oh yeah, by the way, that's the leader up there that you can barely see.
Zane Smith with about a 4-second lead over Ben Rhodes, and then Kyle Busch back there 6 seconds behind. Let's listen to Ben Rhodes' radio.
He should be able to make it with that caution and without that, right? Shocking.
Did I hear that correct, Mike? Yeah. They're in trouble.
They pitted on lap 21. We thought that was a bit pushing it to get all the way to the end. Man.
So if we make it to the regularly scheduled distance, they believe they will be okay and that Ben Rhodes can.
I heard that wrong. The great thing about that camera view is you hear the engine and the rev limiter and all that stuff happening over the bumps, and gosh, that's a great view because it puts into perspective how violent it actually is. But this guy, Zane Smith in the 38, he is just smooth as glass, running fast lap times. He fell off a little bit that lap, but just needs to put solid lap in, lap after lap after lap, and you'll be fine.
Let's get an update on the leader, Heather.
And Kevin, you just mentioned it. Zane Smith out there really comfortable here on these road courses. He told me earlier this weekend that it's almost like an off weekend for him. This type of racing is like second nature for the 38. And now they are updating him on where Kyle Busch is on the course. They just said he was about 2 tenths faster that lap, but they're telling him to focus on his marks and hitting them precisely. Jamie Howe?
The last 2 laps, Kyle Busch is turning lap times that are quicker now than Zane Smith's. This is the sweet spot of this tire life that he was talking about. This is why he made that decision not to pit when his crew chief Brian Patty told him to make that pit stop. He wanted to figure out what it was he was going to have at the end of the race. Let's see if he can make up the time now. It's closing down. It's down to below 6 seconds. We'll see.
Kyle was on fire there when he restarted 16th. He's made his way up to 3rd, but hard to make up some ground here on these front 2 drivers.
He's not going to catch Zane without a caution.
Yeah.
But he certainly is going to make it interesting. I shouldn't say that. Zane makes one mistake.
Tank. But, you know, we saw Ross's truck when he had the fuel issue earlier. We thought he was tanking, but we've seen some of these trucks. Kyle Busch's truck at the end of that last run, it just tanked, and he lost a second, 1.2 seconds of lap time. So you never know.
Yeah, I shouldn't say he's not going to catch him because Kyle Busch does special things, and one slip by Zane Smith, and you know he's right there.
You know, we get asked this a lot. If you look at those windshields, some have the black background at Craftsman, some have the red. The red means they're full-time in this series. If it's black, like on Ross Chastain's truck, that means they're part-time. So that's just for the viewer to distinguish who's running for points and who's just here to have fun and win.
Well, I learned something. Thank you for explaining that.
You're welcome. There's that beautiful flyover we heard just a little bit ago, right, Michael?
Yeah, I love the flyover. I've never seen it happen on lap 30, but it was still fun.
Practicing for tomorrow, I believe.
There's Ross. He's rallied up to the 11th position after his issues on pit road. The guys in the bed of the truck. Just ahead there of Nick Sanchez, Stuart Friesen. Got some good stories inside the top 10. Kaz has surfaced into the 5th position, and his truck just outside the top 10. There's Ross.
Tyler Ankrum in the 16 found his way back to the top 10. Raja Caruth, Tanner Gray, Corey Heim in 9th, and Taylor Gray. Yes, they are brothers. That rounds out the top 10. But Kevin, this leader, Zane Smith, you know, last year, people didn't realize his background was in karting on road courses. So when he came here, he wanted to show people what he's capable of, and he did. He went to victory lane. But you're familiar with this kind of background.
Yeah, Zane and I had a conversation a few months ago, really into last year. And I had no idea, but he's on the same, Keelan is on the same path that Zane went on, and that is kart racing in Europe. And, you know, doing it at a level of, on the international level, that is a firm commitment. So he has a huge background in road racing and has a great upbringing in karts.
And his crew chief is great at the strategy call as well, so it's all working for Zane Smith.
I love that he got second in the stage, pitted, got his track position, got his tires, everything worked perfectly.
That's always the question. Can you have it all? Yes, he did.
And that's what we talked about earlier, right? You have to have a little bit of luck and have to have the cautions and things fall your way to win these races. So the only thing that can make it go the wrong way right now is another caution flag.
Battle for second on the racetrack between Ben Rhodes and Kyle Busch. Busch has caught up to him. He's been quicker than the race leader Zane Smith the last 2 laps, but now he's caught the 99. He needs to get around him quickly if he's going to want any sort of a shot to catch the 38. We'll be down to 7 laps to go at the start-finish line this time by as they're working their way into turns 19 and then 20. So again, the report a little bit ago is that Ben Rhodes is more than likely going to be short on fuel to the end of the race. Ty Majeski thinks that they should barely be able to make it. So Rhodes, even though he's in second right now, more than likely not going to make it on fuel without a caution. I was curious as to why they stayed out of the pits, honestly. Because I knew he pitted before Ty Majeski and Kaz Gralla earlier. Busch locking his tires up into turn 1. Desperately trying to get around Ben Rhodes. Last lap, Kyle Busch was about a half a second quicker than Zane Smith. But now he is stuck behind the 99, unfortunately. Still a 5.5 second lead for Smith with just 7 to go. Rhodes hanging on to second. Kyle Busch still stuck behind him through the S's. Kyle Busch trying to arc the corners off a lot wider than Ben Rhodes, getting a better drive off, especially onto these longer straightaways of the racetrack. Busch is looking to the inside into turn 10 on Ben Rhodes. He is not going to be able to make the pass there, and he again has to duck back in line behind Rhodes. But down this longest straightaway of the track, heading towards turn 11, he's going to be able to get a pretty big run in the draft. Will he then be able to try to make the dive bomb move for second place into turn number 11? He's getting a run, looking to the inside. Will he pull back high? He does not. He stays low underneath Rhodes, side by side for position. There's contact made into turn 11, and Busch is clear. Looked like Rhodes tried to crowd the 51. I think Busch held his line, but got crowded by the truck on the outside. Kyle Busch is clear of Ben Rhodes. He's into second. Now can he catch Zane Smith with less than 6.5 laps left? He was 5.5 seconds back at the line that last time. Obviously trying to pass Rhodes costed him a little bit of time. He's lost about 0.3 of a second to Smith this lap alone. But now it's 1v1 between Zane Smith and Kyle Busch, and is that 6-second nearly gap for Smith over Busch enough with 6 to go? Busch is going to have to be almost a second a lap faster to try to catch the 38. That is the same 38 truck that has won the last 2 and only 2 races in the Truck Series at COTA. Zane Smith won this race last year, and then Todd Gillen won this race in the 38 truck for Front Row Motorsports the year before when he raced full-time in the Truck Series, before moving up to the Cup Series full-time in the 38 for Front Row Motorsports, which he now splits that ride with Zane Smith this year. So we figured that Zane Smith was going to be faster than Kyle Busch that last lap. He was 0.6 of a second quicker, and a large reason, again, Busch had to pass Ben Rhodes. And there was contact made. It was on the side skirts of both race trucks, though, to the right side of Busch's truck. Rhodes had tried to pinch him off. Zane Smith, through the first half of this next lap, seems to be a tad quicker than Kyle Busch. It leads right back out to 6 seconds again. I think it's going to take a caution if Busch is going to be able to catch Zane Smith. We'll see. We've had 3 yellows today. This will be a 13-lap green flag run to the checker, which will be the second longest green flag run of the day if it stays green all the way to the finish. And there's a lot of drivers battling desperately for position further back in the field, so maybe something like that could happen. Ross Chastain currently battling with both the Gray brothers right now as he rides in line behind the 15 and the 17 trucks. It's a 3-truck battle for 8th. They're 19 seconds off the lead. Chastain was on pit road, lost a lot of track position, even more so than Kyle Busch because of the repairs they were having to make to that 41 truck with some fuel pressure issues. Near contact made between the Gray brothers. Chastain going to get to the outside of Taylor Gray in the 17. Sorry, forgot which Gray was in what truck there for a second. Taylor Gray is in the 17, Tanner in the 15. Chastain will get by Taylor for 9th. Now staying right behind Tanner for position as well. Ben Rhodes still somewhat keeping up with Kyle Busch right now. Busch about 0.1 of a second slower than Zane Smith that last lap. .1 seconds is the difference. Alex Woodridge, thanks for tuning in. Can I say hi? I see you in the chat now. Cookie Crew, welcome into the stream also. Got about 180 people watching right now. Appreciate everybody tuning in this afternoon. Again, first of 2 live commentary streams of the day. The Xfinity Series will be coming up at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, about an hour and a half from now. You'll get to hear the race interviews from all your top finishers in today's race, leading into going through the full field running order as soon as the checkered flag flies today. Sorry to take a quick break there. I tried to get 3 of them out during the truck and Xfinity races. We only had 2 to this point. It's a little harder with no stage breaks, no cautions during the stage breaks here. Hate to do that during green flag action, but I was hoping for a caution here in the final 10 laps. I was going to be able to get it out then. Should say commercial breaks for ourselves, just a quick ad break. They're not 3 minutes long like they are in real life. And in the TV world, I should say. This is real life. Chastain, by the way, also passed Tanner Gray. Nick Sanchez moves into the top 10, getting by Taylor Gray for that 10th spot as well. Corey Heim has passed Kaz Grala for 6th recently. Grala in 7th, and he is right in front of Chastain right now. 20 seconds off the lead is Chastain. Kyle Busch quicker than Zane Smith by only 0.2 of a second that last lap. 4 to go. Over 6 seconds off the lead still is Busch. As long as it's not a catastrophic mistake here from Zane Smith. And as long as we stay green to the end of the race, or at least to the white flag, this is Zane Smith's race to lose. Should say his race to win. And it would be all on him if he did lose. Yeah, I think Harvick does a pretty good job in the booth. Very intelligent. Also didn't get the diecast showing out yet today. Well, I hate to do this with 4 laps to go in the race, but at least there's no major battle in the top 10 that I'm noticing for position right now. Other than the fact Chastain did just pass Kaz Grala for 7th, but he's still a little bit behind Corey Heim. About a full second behind him yet, but good rally by Chastain to get back in the top 10 at the very least. So we're going to go with a couple of road course ringers that were full-time in the NASCAR Cup Series throughout their racing careers. And this first one, we're going to go with the most winningest driver on road courses in NASCAR Cup Series history. That'd be Jeff Gordon. My only Jeff Gordon diecast, at least to this point. I definitely want to get more. He's got a lot of classic paint schemes. This one is a unique one. It is a Green Flames Nicorette paint scheme for Jeff Gordon. He ran this scheme back in 08-09. I think this one specifically is 2009. I think infamously ran this in that nasty Las Vegas crash he had in the closing laps of that race where he had a back injury, which eventually maybe caused him to retire a few years earlier than he would have liked. Of course, he was still winning races in that last season of his career, very competitive, competed for a championship, obviously, in 2015, made it to the championship 4, but unfortunately just couldn't really bear being behind the wheel through the rigorous NASCAR schedule because of that back injury back in 2009. But needless to say, again, most winningest road course racer in NASCAR history. 9 wins in his career on the Cup Series and road course. And this is one of the few Carved Tomorrow cars with the wing I have. I think it's one of only 3 or 4 of them. So, yeah, Green Flames Jeff Gordon was a thing. 3 laps to go currently in the race. Busch about a second quicker than Zane Smith that last lap. He's cut the lead down to 5 seconds, but again, 3 to go. He's still going to have to be well over a second quicker a lap to catch him beyond this point. Definitely pulled away from Ben Rhodes. I guess the biggest question mark is, can Ben Rhodes make it on fuel to the end of the race? 3 long laps around this racetrack, nearly 10 miles, actually a little over 10 miles for 3 full laps. Down to about maybe 2.5 laps to go right now. He is in 3rd. He's quite a ways ahead of Ty Majeski. I'm curious to know if he's going to try to save any fuel, even if he has to give up a couple positions, just to ensure the fact he's going to make it. The black, blue flame paint scheme. You don't think the red and blue one was his best? Or the Rainbow Warrior scheme? The Rainbow Warrior scheme is iconic, I think, more so because of how many races he won and dominated seasons with that car. I think that makes it more iconic. I mean, the scheme was good, but I do like his Flames, blue-red Flames scheme better, personally. Chastain has passed Corey Heim for 6th place on the racetrack this last lap as well. Still 20 seconds off the lead. He might be able to catch Tyler Ankrum, who's about a second and a half ahead of him in 5th, and Chastain could still have a potential top 5 run after being on pit road for a very long period of time. Caution seemed to have helped him. He could have been up there with Zane Smith. Unfortunately, having that mechanical issue, and then Kyle Busch staying out just a little bit too long. Caution flag came out, restarted back in the pack, got up to 2nd, but Zane Smith, who was on equal tires and was on pit road at the time of the last yellow, lucked out that he was able to be the leader then on the restart. With this being a road course, he didn't go a lap down by pitting earlier than Busch, and because he was on pit road when the caution flag waved, he didn't even have any laps on his tires. Was able to restart the lead where Busch had to restart back in 15th even after winning the race off pit road during the caution. 2 laps to go. If he gets to the white flag, the next flag ends the race if it's the caution or a checker, so that is the flag that Smith is really trying to get to right now in this 42-lap event. And again, our Xfinity race coverage in about an hour and a half at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Get to hear from the top finishers of today's race, and again, we'll go through the full field finishing results. Still 28 trucks on the lead lap. Kyle Busch about 3.5 seconds ahead of Ben Rhodes already. Rhodes still 3 seconds ahead of Majeski. And Chastain now just a half a second behind Tyler Ankrum, so he's definitely closing on him. He's got pace to catch him for 5th. So neither stage winner. Looking like they're going to go to victory lane today. Unless something happens to Zane Smith. Mechanical-wise, it costs him a good chance to win the race. Smith was 2nd at the end of stage 2. Pitted on the very last lap of the stage when the caution ended up coming out on the first lap, technically, of next stage. But he crossed the line in 2nd when he was on pit road. So he had about 10 seconds built up between him and the 3rd place car at the time. And the 3rd place car was Parker Kligerman, who ended up stalling out anyway. So I don't even know how far ahead he was of 4th. So that's why he ended up still finishing 2nd in the stage, even pitting when he did. Chastain is all over the back bumper of Tyler Ankrum. So they have a little less than a lap and a half to go where they're at on the racetrack in that battle for 5th. And Ross Chastain working his way into turn 14. Much better corner. The 16 swung out way wider. 41 just got a lot better drive. Chastain already a win in the Cup Series at this track, of course. Figured he'd be one of the favorites today. Led a lot early, qualified to the pole, but mechanical issues have put him behind. White flag is in the air. 1 lap to go, sponsored by Credit One Bank. Zane Smith, 5.5 seconds ahead of Kyle Busch. This will be the 2nd win of the season for Zane Smith. That'll be 10 wins based off of playoff points alone for Zane Smith today, on top of the fact that he had a stage win, so he'll have 11 playoff points through the first 4 races of the Truck Series season. Still 12 races to go in the regular season standings, and coming into the regular season standings for today's race specifically, he was 15 out of 1st from Christian Eckes, who had a mechanical issue after winning stage 1. Matt Craftsman DNF'd as well. Those are the top 2 in points. He's beating Majeski and Ben Rhodes, obviously, with the win, who are in 3rd and 4th. There's a chance Zane Smith could be the points leader, jumping from 5th to 1st in one race today. Still, with it being very early in the season, the point standings are obviously going to be tight. And that's why Zane Smith should have a pretty easy run going for him here. Zane Smith is easily backing off. Now that he knows they're on the white flag, caution comes out, the race is over. Busch is way behind him. Doesn't want to make any major mistakes. Zane Smith will go on to lead the most laps today as well, all in this final stage specifically. He will have led 16 laps when he gets to the checkered flag this time. There'll be 4 more laps led than Kyle Busch today, and 6 more laps led than Ross Chastain. 38, the 51, and the 41 were the 3 fastest trucks today, but it's the Truck Series regular who will get the win over the 2 Cup Series regulars in today's XPEL 225 at Circuit of the Americas. Zane Smith crosses the start-finish line. He'll get the checkered flag and win his 2nd truck race of the young season. 5 seconds behind him will be Kyle Busch, finishing in P2. Ben Rhodes and Ty Majeski going for 3rd, and I think Ben Rhodes was out of gas on the front stretch, so Majeski will finish in 3rd. Ben Rhodes trying to limp his way back to the start-finish line right now. Some debris on the, looks like the front stretch right on the start-finish line. But Zane Smith is your race winner. Still waiting to see exactly where Ben Rhodes is going to finish. Ben Rhodes ran out of gas trying to go up the hill to the start-finish line. He was in 3rd. He is, as of right now, in 10th. I don't know if he crossed the line or not. I would imagine he did. I think the top 10 have more than crossed the line. So Ben Rhodes loses 7 spots on the last lap, or really the last straightaway. He came off of turn 20 slow and had to creep at a slow pace back to the start-finish line. Again, he was in 3rd off of the final corner, turn 20, ran out of gas coming to the checkered flag and lost 7 spots before finishing 10th. You'll get to hear from race winner Zane Smith when he gets his way all the way back around this nearly 4-mile road course. Big win, though, for Zane Smith. Oh, it looked like something broke on the back of the 99 of Ben Rhodes. He was shedding some debris. So it wasn't that he was out of fuel. Something was dragging, sparking from underneath his car, but he had some parts and pieces flying out from underneath it when he came across the curb off of turn 19. Crazy. Luckily, Ben Rhodes ended up still crossing line with the top 10, but lost out. Had a mechanical issue literally coming to the checkered flag as he was entering the final corner. Lucky not to crash. But unfortunately, again, ends up 10th after running 3rd. Freak accident there. Kyle Busch disappointed. Strategy call. He wanted to win this race. It was on him, and I think that's a lot of the disappointment for Busch. It was him that made the call to stay out as long as they did, and unfortunately the caution came out. And if they didn't get the yellow, he was probably going to go on his way to victory lane. The win will allow for Zane Smith to get the victory.
Potential.
Here's Smith.
Think about this.
Once he climbs out of his truck, of course.
Zane was a truck champion. He got his first 2 wins of the year at Daytona and Coda. What has he done this year, Jamie?
Well, he won at Daytona. He's won at Coda. It's like a carbon copy.
What kind of message does that send to the competition?
Oh, no.
Uh-oh. Oh. We're going to light them up, aren't we?
This is fun.
Smoke them if you got them.
A second burnout for Zane Smith.
Getting all that action. He's always right in the mix. Cameraman, we've got the best on the job. All the cameras. How fun is that?
It's fun for everybody but the team owner.
Thanks for that comment, Dennis.
Down. Zane Smith climbs from the truck. NASCAR waiting with that checkered flag. Gotta love seeing your team right there to greet you when you climb out of that truck or your car, Kevin.
Well, they're the guys that you race with week in and week out, and you spend as much time with them as you do your family. So when you can accomplish something by beating all the other teams as a group and being able to do the things that it takes.
Got a fire.
We got a fire.
Fire. That was impressive.
The tire is on fire.
On there again.
Zane Smith's race truck.
Fireproof.
He literally burned them down right there. They need a fire extinguisher right away, ASAP.
Both of them are on fire, Mike.
Both rear tires are on
You guys don't
fire.
want to burn down this truck. I think it's too good. Not good.
We have found a flaw in the mud flaps.
I would leave the area
Yes.
if I were in there.
A lot of celebrating going on, but also now.
Oh, man, that sucks, though. They got a few more road course races yet this year. They'd probably want to use this truck at.
That was wild. I've seen some fires, but nothing like that after burning it down. Well, let's hear from our winner. Here's Heather DeBow.
And Zane Smith burns him down there. Not the burnout. I don't think you expected that. We'll take a step over here, but you go back to back here in Austin. You guys played out a perfect strategy there, but was there anything that you were fighting in the truck or anything that went wrong for you today?
Besides catching on fire in Victory Lane, that's a first for me. Man, that's a bummer right there, but man, just a shout out to everyone on Team FRM, Chris Lawson for that amazing strategy right there. That worked out for us good with that caution, advancing us in front of the 41. Shout out to my pit crew, man. They've been awesome all this year. It's been so awesome having them. But and then obviously the strategy, putting Kyle back there and us starting on the front row is just perfect. So just so cool for Speedco, Peak, all of our partners on this truck. The Speedco F-150 was fast there when it mattered, and I just enjoy so much coming to all the road courses, especially here, and it's so cool. F4M is undefeated here, so just a true testament to this team, and like I said, that was probably the most hectic Victory Lane celebration I've ever had.
Now, Kyle Busch was running you down there at the end. You had about a 6-second lead, but they told you to race the racetrack. But at any point, did you have that in the back of your mind that they were coming after you there at the end?
Yeah, I mean, once we got to that 8 to go point, and I got told Kyle was in second, the heart rate went up a little bit, just because he's so good at managing his stuff and going when it matters. So I was just trying not to make any mistakes. Made a couple there with around 5 to go, and road courses in general, once you lock up, it's 10 times easier to lock up again. So was just focused on that, but apologize for catching the truck on fire in Victory Lane.
All right, Zane Smith, your winner here at Austin for the second year in a row.
And Kyle Busch now debriefing just a little bit on what happened out there on the racetrack. He's got blisters on that right hand. We've got the Rowdy blocking him right now, but the decision not to pit after Brian Patty made the call in, knowing what you know now with hindsight, would you have done something different?
Yeah, of course, duh. Truck racing, for me, whenever I'm the first one on pit road, then you get a yellow and it traps you a lap down, but you're at a road course, so it's different here where it doesn't really do that, but you want the freshest tires at the end as you can get. So you kind of want to see the rest of those guys pit first, especially with a big lead that you have. You have time, you have track position to give up with them having new tires that then you can put on your new tires and drive back out. So we're playing the long game, and unfortunately the long game didn't work. So they got lucky today and beat us.
Certainly close the gap, though.
I venture to say Zane Smith and company were a little bit more than just lucky today, but I'm sure frustration for Kyle Busch. Stick with us.
Take a look at the full field finishing order for today's XPEL 225 at COTA for the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. Zane Smith, your race winner, his second win of the season. Margin of victory, 5.4 seconds. He also led the most laps with 16 laps led on the day. All of those in the final stage. Kyle Busch ends up finishing in second place. Ty Majeski ends up in third. Tyler Ankrum fourth. Ross Chastain with a top 5. Great recovery there for fifth. Corey Hyman 6th, Nick Sanchez 7th, Tanner Gray in 8th, Kaz Gralla 9th, and Ben Rhodes rounds out the top 10. Kevin, mechanical issue in the final corner, the final lap for Rhodes. He was in 3rd, ended up 10th. Taylor Gray finishes 11th, Grant Enfinger in 12th, Raja Karut 13th, Stuart Friesen 14th, Caden Honeycutt 15th, Haley Deegan in 16th, Lawless Allen 17th, Daniel Dye 18th, Jake Garcia 19th, and Colin Garrett 20th. Chris Wright 21st, Logan Bearden 22nd, Brett Holmes 23rd, Colby Howard 24th, Timmy Hill 25th, Mason Filippi 26th, Chase Purdy 27th, 28th was Dale Quarterly, and he was the final driver to finish on the lead lap today. First truck a lap down, Matt Benedetto in 29th. Christian Eckes ended up finishing 11 laps down in 30th, had a power steering failure on that race truck. Parker Kligerman ended up blowing an engine with 16 laps to go in the race, finished in 31st. Spencer Boyd 32nd. Tough break too because Kligerman was in 3rd at the time. But Spencer Boyd 32nd. Matt Crafton DNF'd as well, 33rd. Boyd also with the DNF. Carson Hocevar 34th. Dean Thompson 35th and Ed Jones 36th. So in total we had 6 trucks DNF from today's race. Again, Zane Smith led the most laps. We had 5 different leaders in the race total, with 10 lead changes amongst those 5 drivers. And your stage winners today, Christian Eckes got a playoff point, his 3rd stage win of the year, winning stage 1, and then Kyle Busch won stage 2, which will help that 51 truck towards the owner playoffs after he locked himself in with a win at Vegas. But again, the driver's points is where it probably matters the most for the 51 team. Or maybe not for the 51 team. I should say the drivers' points, we still only have 2 drivers locked into the playoffs there. Again, Zane Smith with 2 wins now, and Christian Eckes with 1. I would not be shocked if Zane Smith will be the new points leader in the truck series as well. Thanks for everybody tuning in today. Be sure to hit the like button if you haven't done so in the stream already. Subscribe for more daily NASCAR content. We will have another live stream again later today, where we will have a live commentary stream of the NASCAR Xfinity Series race at COTA. That will start at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And, of course, the Cup race again tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. 1 hour, 51 minutes, 31 seconds total time on this first race of the day. I'll see you guys later on, about another hour. Thanks for watching, everybody.